The 7th generation of the VW Golf GTI might be one of the best we've seen since its original debut in 1974 that created a new market niche for fast compact cars better known as hot hatchbacks. In its current form, the Mk.7 has been on the market since 2013, so I guess most of you have already seen one of these on the road, especially in Germany, where the Golf is by far the most selling of all cars. With 220 horsepower, the regular GTI isn't actually the most powerful Golf you can get. That's the Golf R, which makes 300 horsepower and offers all-wheel drive. But that's a different story. My GTI test car, however, has the optional performance package, which gives you an extra 10 horsepower from the 2-liter TSI 4-cylinder, bigger high-performance brakes with GTI badges, and most importantly, an all-electronic limited slip differential. A no-brainer if you ask me, for just about €1,000 extra over the base GTI. The popularity of this car alone tells you why we really don't need to discuss practicality and daily driver usability in this video. You can describe any Golf perfectly as a true world car. It does everything in an above average way for a great variety of different kind of people. Which, if you think about it, really makes the Golf one of the best cars in the world. But the GTI brand is a bit different given that it's such an iconic badge standing for its very own fun driving experience that created its own marketplace back in the 70s. And I do wonder if this latest generation is still a real hot hatch that can live up to its own history.
So VW is not only becoming more and more popular on YouTube for their great commercials. In Germany here we have one featuring Robbie Williams talking German, which is really funny, and also one of a cat that does a 180-degree Rockford turn, which I also thought was really cool. They also reached out to me and said, "Hey Guido, would you like to spend 2 weeks in our Golf GTI?" And of course I said yes. The challenging fact about making this review actually is that you guys know that I have driven pretty much all other VW Group cars that have a sporty appeal to them. Starting with the Audi S3, which is a little bit more expensive of course, but also offers all-wheel drive and more power. Interesting car, one that I really enjoyed. Then the Seat Leon Cupra, that also offers more power. The test car that I had there was actually quite a bit pricier. That was already in the Golf R territory. Another competitor of the GTI, in-house competitor. And lastly, the Skoda Octavia RS, which offers more space, but for me personally doesn't have the same kind of image and sportivity that I would expect from a hot hatch or something that falls into the same category. You know, it's actually a sedan or an estate car, the Octavia, but still a really great and successful package. So it's interesting to see where the GTI is coming out there for me. And I haven't actually driven a Golf in quite a while. I've driven this Mk.7 version when it came out, and that brings me to the first impressions. Being in a Golf is always a great experience for me. I really like the cockpit design that they have here. Everything is laid out so simple and so clear. I really like that about this car. I also like the center console, but those are things that I could also say about these other cars. The thing that I notice in the Golf here is that I feel like I'm sitting a little bit too high, being a tall guy, but that could also be because I daily drive a compact car from Munich, not going to say more, where I have a much lower and sportier seating position, which I personally prefer being a tall guy. But this car here has to suit so many people with so many different body shapes, and yeah, I think that's nitpicking if I talk about this in my review. It's just something that I've noticed sitting in this car. And I've actually spent quite a bit of time in the GTI already. I mean, I have this car for 2 weeks. I've driven it for well over a week now. And I have to say, I wanted to talk about the sporty driving experience primarily for this review. But the thing that I've noticed is just how comfortable the GTI is. And that's a bit of a surprise for me actually. You start driving with this car and we have this driving mode selection system here, similar to the systems that I reviewed in the other cars. In this GTI here, there are actually 5 different settings that you can choose. Eco mode, normal mode, comfort, sport, and an individual setting. I'm driving once again in an individual setting where I have cranked up everything to the sport mode, and still, this car stays completely comfortable for me. Maybe German roads are a little bit more smoother than other roads in the UK, for example. I can't comment on that, but the chassis of this car feels really comfortable to me and deals with road imperfections just perfectly. And it doesn't matter what speed you're going actually, you are always in a place where you feel like, yes, this car is just made to be a great daily driver, comfortable in any situation, you know. But then again, this is not only a Golf that has to be a great daily driver, and it is a great daily driver, this is a GTI. And even though the GTI isn't the sportiest, fastest version of the Golf anymore, I still think we have to find out if it is something that can still be appealing to a sporty driver that wants to have a certain driving experience when he's driving spirited, especially on a back road, you know. So you guys know the deal. Let's go to a nice B road here in the Odenwald, see how the GTI feels in comparison to these other cars that I've driven, and in general as a sporty hot hatch. You know, this is the granddaddy of hot hatches. It has to offer a great driving experience. So let's see what it does here. I love these pops that you get on upshifts from the sports exhaust. Sounds great. And DSG, that's the first impression. Many people say to me, well, Guido, we like your passion for the manual gear shift, but you should really try some automatics again. Haven't asked VW specifically actually for a DSG car. That's just what they gave me. And I have to say, the DSG transmission is still one of the best automatic transmissions that I've ever driven. It's not the smoothest transmission actually in traffic when you're crawling, but when you're driving spirited, yeah, the speed and the responsiveness especially, this willingness to give me the low gears that I'm asking it for, even when it means that I have to get close to the red line or even a tad beyond it actually, is really what defines the DSG transmission for me as a sporty double clutch system that really works excellent in a hot hatch like this one here. Yeah, it's a great transmission. And while we're back in town, let me talk about the engine. The engine in this car, on paper of course, doesn't make the same kind of power that you get in the Seat Leon Cupra, but for me that's not a problem actually, because I care more about having a certain amount of torque, and the torque in this car is absolutely there. I mean, 350 Newton meters of torque as far as I know mean that you get really good power low down. And in combination with this DSG, this car feels actually pretty quick in my opinion. Yeah, the diff in this car works excellent. Yeah, the traction is really, really good. The thing that I notice is that the steering for me is actually the downside of the GTI, and I will explain why. Driving fast corners, I noticed that off-center, the first few millimeters, the steering is not very precise and has a little bit of play. I mean, now I'm on a straight road, I can do this and nothing happens. That's a little bit of a downside, and I also wish the steering was heavier when I was driving it sporty and spirited. That would give me more confidence in the car, but that's really the only downside of this car. And it brings me to my verdict, and the impression that I'm leaving the GTI with is that it's a great, great daily driver. Still 100% carries the Golf heritage and pedigree to be a great car to use on a daily basis, comfortable, yeah, to a certain level even luxurious, I would say. The ride quality is just amazing, but they are leaving a little bit of space here, I think, for the Golf R to be more desirable for sporty drivers. Not so much from the performance of the engine. The engine is great, like I said, but the chassis and the steering, there's still some space left there for an even sportier feeling version of the Golf, I think. So, yeah, in the end, I'm totally happy that I had the chance to spend so much time in the GTI to get some in-depth driving impressions of it. But I think personally, if you are willing to spend as much money as it costs, go for the Golf R. I think the Golf R is the better car for people who watch my channel and care about the sportiest driving experience in such a car as possible. And I don't think that all-wheel drive would actually be a downside. I think that would actually be a plus for this car. And yeah, maybe VW has given me the chance to drive the Golf R2, I don't know yet. But the GTI, as a car that you want to daily drive and spend an occasional spirited drive on a back road with, it's still a great car, and especially this DSG here works excellent for most people, I think. So if you have any questions about the Golf GTI, guys, post them in the comments below or on my Facebook page. I will try to answer them as soon as possible. And I see you in the next review, guys. Take care.